Welcome to the Nameless.
The police said it was centuries old. That was the first thing they told me about the mask they found in my missing friend's locker. Like that alone should have explained everything. Centuries old, sitting behind a dented blue door with a broken latch, wedged between a pair of running shoes and a half-empty bottle of cologne. They said it calmly, like they were talking about a coin or a chair, not something that still smelled faintly warm when they pulled it out. I didn't correct them when they said found. I was the one who opened the locker. I wish I hadn't. I only had access to Aaron's locker because we worked at the same community college gym. I ran the front desk on nights and weekends, and Aaron cleaned after hours. It was boring, predictable work. Fluorescent lights, the hum of treadmills, the faint smell of disinfectant that never really left your clothes. Aaron had been there longer than me.
He was quiet, but not unfriendly. The kind of guy who remembered small details about you and then surprised you with them weeks later. He knew how I took my coffee. He knew my sister's name, even though he'd never met her. When he stopped showing up, nobody panicked at first. Aaron was in his late 20s, no kids, no close family nearby. He took time off sometimes, always came back like nothing happened. This time, 3 days passed, then a week. His phone went straight to voicemail. Management filed a missing person report, mostly to cover themselves. The police came in, asked a few questions, took notes like they were filling out a grocery list. They asked me if I could open his locker. I told myself it was routine, lost property, maybe a note, maybe nothing. The lockers were old, the kind with bent vents and paint worn thin by decades of hands. Aaron's locker was in the staff hallway, away from the public. I remember the lock sticking, like it didn't want to turn. When it finally did, the sound echoed too loud for such a small space. At first glance, everything looked normal. Extra uniform shirt, sneakers, a folded hoodie. Then I saw the mask. It was wrapped in a cloth that looked homemade, rough and uneven, tied with twine. The mask underneath was dark, not black exactly, but the color of old bark after rain. It was carved, not molded, human-sized, human-shaped, but wrong in the way a mannequin is wrong when you look at it too long. The eyes were narrow slits. The mouth was stretched into a shape that wasn't quite a smile and wasn't quite anything else. I didn't touch it. I called the officer over. He stared at it longer than he needed to, then told me to step back. That's when he said it. This thing's old, like really old. Later, after they took it away in an evidence bag, another officer told me a specialist said the wood dated back centuries, older than the building, older than the town. Older than anything that should have ended up in a locker with a broken latch. I tried to forget about it. I really did. Aaron was declared missing, not dead. The college sent out an email. People whispered. Then time started smoothing the edges, the way it always does. Except something followed me home from that locker, and it wasn't the mask itself. It started small, sounds mostly. I'd wake up at night thinking someone was walking through my apartment, slow footsteps that stopped when I held my breath. I'd check the locks. Nothing. My dreams changed. I kept dreaming about hallways that didn't end, lockers that went on forever, each one humming softly like there was something alive inside. Then I started noticing patterns, symbols, scratched into places I passed every day. The bus stop bench, the bathroom stall at work, a shape like a circle broken by 3 lines, uneven, like someone drew it with their non-dominant hand. I'd never noticed them before, which didn't mean they were new. It just meant my eyes had learned something my brain didn't want to admit. I asked around about Aaron, quietly. One of the night security guards said he'd seen him leaving late more than once, not alone.
Another cleaner mentioned Aaron had been asking weird questions about old buildings in town, about churches that were closed down decades ago. Someone else laughed and said Aaron had gotten into some cult nonsense, but they said it like a joke, like it couldn't possibly be real. I found a notebook in the Lost and Found 2 weeks later. No name, but I knew it was his. Aaron's handwriting was cramped and careful, like he was trying not to waste space. Most of it was lists, addresses, times, notes about observations. Toward the back, the writing got shakier. He wrote about the mask. He never called it a mask. He called it a vessel. He wrote that it wasn't meant to be worn, not like people think.
He wrote that it listens, that it waits, that it remembers faces even when faces forget it. I should have turned that notebook over to the police. I didn't. I told myself I was protecting Aaron, that I was helping. The truth is, part of me was already hooked. Once you see a crack in the world, it's hard to stop staring at it. Things escalated after that. I started seeing people who looked like Aaron from a distance. Same build, same walk. Every time I tried to get closer, they'd turn a corner or disappear into a crowd. Once, I thought I saw him standing across the street from my apartment, just watching the building. When I blinked, he was gone. The worst part wasn't seeing things. It was the feeling of being observed by something that didn't blink, like the air itself had learned how to watch. One night, I woke up to a smell that didn't belong in my apartment. Damp wood, earth, something old and closed in, like the air in a basement that hasn't been opened in years. I lay there, heart pounding, listening. That's when I heard breathing that wasn't mine. I didn't see anyone, I never did, but I felt a presence, heavy and patient, like it had all the time in the world. My bedroom door creaked open just enough for a thin line of hallway light to spill across the floor. In that line, I saw something move, not into the room, but away from it, as if whatever it was had already seen enough. The next morning, I found the symbol scratched into my front door. I went back to the notebook. I read it until my eyes burned. Aaron wrote about gatherings, never calling them meetings. He wrote about places beneath places, about old rituals that didn't need belief, just participation. He wrote that the mask was never meant to leave the ground it was carved from, and that moving it had consequences. The last entry was short. If it chooses you, don't put it on. If it's already wearing you, it's too late. That was the night everything came to a head. I heard knocking around midnight. Not loud, not urgent. 3 slow taps, perfectly spaced. I didn't answer. I sat on my couch in the dark, every muscle tight. The knocking moved, from the door to the wall beside it, like someone tracing the outline of my apartment from the outside. Then I heard a voice, not Aaron's exactly, but close enough to hurt. It said my name like it was testing how it sounded. I don't remember deciding to run. I just remember my hands shaking as I grabbed my keys and phone. I slipped out the back stairwell, every step echoing too loud. Outside, the street was empty, washed pale by streetlights. I felt exposed, like stepping into open water. I made it to my car. As I fumbled with the door, I saw movement in the reflection of the window. A shape behind me, tall and still. I didn't turn around. I got in, locked the doors, and drove. I didn't stop until dawn, until I was parked outside a police station in a town I'd never been to before. I slept in my car, waking every hour to check the mirrors. I told the police everything. They listened. They took notes. They asked if I'd been under stress lately. They never found Aaron. They never found the mask again either. It disappeared from evidence sometime after it was locked. No sign of forced entry. No explanation. I moved, changed jobs, changed my routine. It helped, a little. The symbols stopped appearing near me. The dreams faded. But some nights, when everything is quiet, I still smell damp wood. I still feel that patient attention settle on me like a hand on my shoulder. If you ever find something that doesn't belong where it is, something that feels older than the space around it, don't assume it's just an object. Some things aren't lost. They're just waiting for the next place to rest.